Good evening, my name is Joe McGrath and this is the Wednesday Club. We've been in the studio relaxing. We've not just all rushed in because we've realised it's 6 o'clock and the Wednesday Club has begun. This is the sort of show throughout the week on the Manchester Football Social where we take an obscure, a different sort of look on the world of football, the ones that you love. And we'll be talking today about the start of the Premier League. We'll also have a Team of the Week, which was very successful last week. A team that is outside of the spotlight that you want to shine a light on. It is a team from Oldham this week. And in the studio, all settled now and ready to go, is the wonderful Ian Cheeseman from Forever Blue. Hello, Ian.
You all right?
Are you good? Yeah, Ian, you well? And Alex Boardman making his debut for the first time this season.
Yeah.
Hello.
Making his debut for the first time. You can't make your debut for the first time.
Yeah. Well, we'll see next week when I say he's here for the second time. Gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us.
He started, I see.
It started already, and I'm sick of it, and it's only 3 minutes past 6. Do you want to just mention Ian does a vlog? I'm going to get that out there. Do you know, beat the record.
You know what? Last night in Forever Blue, I never mentioned it.
Never mentioned
it.
Now
you've mentioned it. And you always say
You're joking. Right, gents.
You mean the vlog that's on the City website?
The vlog that's on. I mean,
wow.
So for people who don't know, you might as well just tell a story. Ian does a vlog on Premier League match days where he goes around and interviews fans. He gets a sort of a glimpse of what the game was like, and it goes now on the Manchester City website.
Absolutely. How cool's that?
That is very cool. It was weird seeing going on the Manchester City website on Monday. Oh no, was it Sunday night?
Sunday night, yeah.
And flicking through the faces of Aguero and Pep.
That's pretty impressive.
Ian Cheeseman.
I'm also got a little bit of a success story because I'm currently selling a toaster on eBay and it's up to £3.83. It's got about a day left.
So. Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
Alex, we're going to start with you. Yeah. Is that a quid each for us all? If we get it to 6, do we get a cut?
Yeah,
is what I'm trying to say.
Okay. If we plug it, we get a slice.
What is it on eBay? What's it called?
I'm not telling you my profile name. People will leave me bad feedback.
Alex Boardman, let's start with you. Manchester United, the first win of the season.
Yep.
Just.
First game of the season, not just at all. Nonsense.
2-1 against Leicester. I find, Ian, and I don't know if you will agree with this, Steve can be... You know, Steve Sanyaski, who's also on the Wednesday Club, can be very, up and down about how United are going to go. Alex, at the start of the season, is always the most positive United fan I know.
To be positive.
And here he is, so Alex, take the wheel.
You know what? I kind of wish I'd been on last week because pre-season, I have never been as annoyed with the pre-season as I was this year. With all the negativity surrounding, we need Harry Maguire and we need this, and why has nobody bought this person? And that squad's a lot stronger than it was last year. Players are a lot better, so I think we're in really good shape. It was a very good performance with a team that, 4 or 5 of those players you wouldn't have put in.
How do you mean?
Well, Lukaku would have started over Rashford. Mata might not have played because Lingard probably would. I don't think Pereira would have played there. Matic would have played. Shaw would probably not have played for Young, and Valencia would have played. So that's 5 or 6 of your starting 11 didn't play, and they still won. Lukaku should have scored, so that would have been 3-1. Mata should have scored, that would have been 4-1. The goal was in the nonsense minute, 93 minutes, when Leicester had no chance. He hit the post and rebounded in. You're talking rubbish. Very good victory. Brilliant debut from Fred.
Did you enjoy Fred's debut?
Love Fred. It's like watching Remy Moses after all these years. Just finally someone who just wants to tackle and get the ball and give it easy. It was brilliant.
87711 Texas. If you're a Manchester United fan, you agree with Alex. You've got confidence going into the next couple of games. Alex, then, so let's talk about certain players. Rashford, obviously, you said would have been replaced by Lukaku if he was fit to start in lineup. Do you see Rashford is number 10 now, Alex, for Manchester United? Now, does that have a statement that Mourinho might use him, or is that just a bit of let's sell some shirts, let's use him as the number 10? Who knows if he's actually going to start?
Well, it's one of those weird things as well where I don't know if number 10 for ages has carried that much. It's not the biggest number at Old Trafford, is it? If you put your star in the number 7, supposedly, and then even, I don't know, Dennis Law's number, it's not since Dennis Law, maybe Mark Hughes after that, has there been a number 10 where you've gone, this is a massive player. I think it's a great compliment to Rashford. I think he'll be great in the future. He looked average. He tried, but stuff didn't come off, and he was a little bit too isolated because Mata can't quite get up fast enough, and Sanchez seems to not be able to see him in the new ridiculous kit. So I don't know why he can't pass to him, but Sanchez could have set up Rashford for 2 or 3 more goals. Rashford was free and he just can't find him.
Before we get on to Manchester City, Ian, maybe one eye over at Old Trafford. Do you see Alex's point of view different to Steve's? He's confident, he's got the squad, he could see. Are you saying that potentially come the end of the season, United will definitely be up there?
We've won that league with worse teams than we've got now. Much worse squads.
Yeah, but there were worse teams also in that league as well. No team was as good as Manchester City.
No team was as good as City, but it's a long season. There might be a couple of key injuries. Not that I'm wishing that on anyone, but suddenly you take, De Bruyne, you take Sané out of that side. Are they as good? I don't think they are.
Ian?
I watched the game on Friday night and I nearly fell asleep. I thought it was awful. This week, there's actually, I saw a tweet, and we're discussing in the office whether to do this as a regular feature and sort of do tweet of the week. And I don't mean one of our tweets, I mean something that you observe somebody else doing. And this one caught my eye this week, which is relevant because this was tweeted out by Danny Baker, the Danny Baker, who's a 5 Live presenter and everything, Millwall fan. And this is what he said in his tweet. And this obviously was during Friday night's game. He said, an hour into the season, and we're already stupefied once more by the knotted, clotted, dense fudge of a team that is Manchester United these days. Tedious, ugly, numbing, goal-nowhere passes with no end result whatsoever. Visually, football's equivalent of the spice drug. Now, I read that and I thought, it's quite outrageous, but sort of had a few points in there, I thought, from what I was watching.
Well,
what do you make of
just
that?
Someone who's is he a former sports journalist? Is he about to be a sports journalist again? It's the biggest team in the country, probably the world. Everybody's had a dig, way before the season started. I did not see that. I saw Fred get the ball and every time play really good forward passes. I saw Shaw constantly overlapping. I saw a really solid defence. I saw Pogba be fantastic. So it seems now that you can't criticise Pogba because he shut everyone up after the World Cup and he played a really good game when he probably wasn't fully fit because he looked to be flagging towards the end of it. So you have to switch the narrative and go, all right, Lukaku's not playing, but let's attack Sanchez, or let's say the football's no good. Could have scored 4 or 5 goals and didn't really look in any kind of threat. I thought it was a very comfortable, very professional performance with half a teammate.
Well, this is good. I like it already. I'm feeling it. Alex, I know that we could sit here and say yes, City have got a better team, but when you look on paper, when the 11 come out, the Manchester United 11 is a good 11. Is it not the way Mourinho plays them individual players that makes it so boring? Zidane, and the rumours are floating about today that he wants to be in charge of a new club, and people are just in the press linking him to Manchester United. His attacking style of football that wouldn't be as boring as Danny Baker there. Would you not want to see that?
Yeah, I want to see attacking football, but I want to see United win first and foremost. And
so there's that question.
There's a difference between me and Alex, a massive difference because you state that the most important thing for you is that United win, and secondly, then you go on to other things.
Yeah, of course.
To me, as a City fan, I'm not saying everybody agrees with me, by the way, but this is my view. I want to play the right way and hopefully win.
The age-old question, since I joined football radio when I was about 18, working over the road, as you used to call it, the enemy, was, what would you rather? This was I started when Sir Alex Ferguson left, so I was only doing some research projects and stuff on Manchester United. And the question we used to ask over and over and over again, and did it not get a bit boring, is, would you rather see Manchester United playing attacking football or than winning a game? And it's come to a point now where you look over the road and they're doing both. Surely that's how you catch up to the rest of the opposition.
Well, this is the glamorisation. The Ferguson years were amazing. Never see anything like that again. But first and foremost, Ferguson's teams won. And some seasons we had, like the 99 treble winning season, they just played wonderful, flowing football. Then his final season when he had Van Persie and Rooney was at his peak, and then there was Ronaldo's last season. But there were seasons in between where they just dug and grind out certain results. And this is what annoys me. I just think it's really not a fair portrayal, because a lot of Ferguson's wins were gritty, 1-0. I mean, there was one year, it might have been 96, when Cantona scored a 1-0 in basically every game for the last 20 games of the season. We're beating really good. I think there's a good Arsenal side with a free kick, a good Blackburn side with a header from a Giggs cross, and those were grind out results. There was a game last season that was a perfect Ferguson-style game coming up this season in a couple of matches. Tottenham at home, 1-1-0, and, you know, people were criticising it. It was a proper, full-blooded, brilliant English game of football, and that's got a place as much as tiki-taka, pass it, have 80% of the possession.
Well, football's changed since then, hasn't it? I mean, I agree, really, in principle. I'm not disagreeing with you as much as you might think, because if you're a tribal football fan, which you clearly are, and obviously I am as well, you want your team to win. No debate in that. And at one time, when I was going in the 70s and maybe the 80s, nobody really, apart from those who went to games, were really that interested in football. Yes, there was a presence, and yes, there was an interest, and it was always the national football game. But since then, the game has changed now, and it's become far more fashionable. Obviously, most of the violence and troubles have gone out of the game, so that makes it more attractive to other people, you know, to families, to women and children that maybe weren't going in those days. And suddenly people with money and are starting to put money in and are willing to pay, you know, a lot more to sit in prime seats just to be there, to say that they're there. So it becomes more of a theatrical experience rather than a pure footballing experience. So when I go and sit at Boundary Park, as I did last night, watching them against Derby County, with my Oldham hat on, wanting Oldham to win, I felt that the 3,000 or 4,000 people who sat in that ground were like you, and that's meant as a compliment. So that they were tribal fans who were there, and the only thing that really mattered to them was getting behind their team, supporting them, and their team winning. They lost as it happened, but that's what motivated them to go. A bigger percentage of, and a growing percentage of people who are at Premier League games are there for, yes, they will say that their allegiances are towards another team, towards that team, but their reason for being there is to be entertained, just as you are when you go to the theatre. It's an experience,
isn't it, for some people who get it as part of maybe even a package holiday, and they probably pay 500 quid for the ticket. They get a discount at the mega store. They might get, I don't know what else to get, but
it's a bit like if you went to a ballet and you say, well, it wasn't a very good ballet, but Nureyev danced and he did a nice plie or something like that. Well,
that's a very different thing. That's not a sport. That's an art, isn't it? That entire theatre of dreams thing, I hated that. I absolutely hated that theatre of dreams.
Do you not think that football is morphing a little bit into that, though?
Oh, yeah, it's gone. What do you mean it's gone? Look at United's home kit. So
therefore, of those 76,000 that must have been at Old Trafford on Friday night, there must have been quite a large percentage of those who thought, yeah, we won, but it wasn't great. You know, I didn't really enjoy that. It wasn't aesthetically pleasing. And especially when they look over the road and think, City, that's aesthetically pleasing. I went to an EDS game, the Elite Development Squad on Saturday at 1:00. City played Arsenal, right? This is the under-21s. 6-5. What a fantastic game to watch.
It's great, but I think United's youth team won the league last year, didn't they? So,
yeah, but you're talking about winning.
Yeah. And that's what it's about.
It's the big debate.
It's sport.
And you know, we'll whack it on. I think that could be our poll of the day that we do after the 20 past break. We'll try and stick that on so you can have your say as well. Text us 87711. I know the debates are back and I like it. The debates are back. I know we have a bit of a laugh, but it is good. I was planning on talking about Manchester City in this section, but look where we are, 16 minutes past 6. Let's speak about Manchester City, though. Let's get them in. Because it was back to business. You enjoyed your trip down to Arsenal. Looked comfortable, I thought. Arsenal didn't look much different to how they were last season. Overall thoughts, Ian?
Well, it's hard to judge how good or otherwise City were, because Arsenal, I didn't think, were particularly good at all. And I've been watching games down at either Highbury or the Emirates for so many years that I'm used to City going down there and getting beat, and Arsenal being on the front foot and dominating, and they certainly were not that. However, it's hard to judge on the opening day of the season with a new coach and some new players, and even City's team wasn't at full strength. Obviously, Sane, David Silva didn't play at all. De Bruyne was on the bench, came off the bench. I know we're hearing today he might be seriously injured and out for some time, but at that time he was fit and he came on, but he only came on late in the game. How do you judge a game like that? Let's see what Arsenal do in the next 2 or 3 games, and let's see what City do in the next 2 or 3 games. But for what was put in front of them, they did absolutely what they needed. It was entertaining. I really enjoyed it as a spectacle, as well as the tribal sort of winning the game. And winning at Arsenal, as I say, can never be taken for granted. And believe it or not, that's the first time City since the 1930s have won back-to-back games at Arsenal. So, that's not to be underestimated.
What happened in the 1930 season? Did you
They
win
won 2 games in a row. Obviously.
And that's it. Right, before we go to the break, it's the return of the attendance game. You've not been part of this, have you, Alex?
No.
Oh, it's a wonderful new game.
In the world.
It's the same music, though, which I'm pleased about.
Have you got a pen and paper, Ian?
I've got
you can
paper.
choose your...
You can share my pen.
Right. I'm going to tell you, this is a very simple game called the attendance game, and we're going to do the Premier League weekend. I'm going to give you 2 games that happen in the Premier League. You're going to tell me which one had the higher attendance.
Okay.
Do
we need a pen?
You seem very pleased with this. You can just write it down, Ian, on your notes. Okay. Right. No conferring.
Okay.
You're against each other here.
We're playing against each other.
Who had the higher attendance? Fulham versus Palace or Huddersfield against Chelsea? Write your first option down. You got 3 of these.
That's not my question. That's Alex's question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh no, both of you playing the
We
same.
didn't do that last week.
Oh
We
well,
did
I've
different
changed.
games
I've changed the
Moved the
format.
goal.
Huddersfield, Chelsea, Fulham and Palace.
Right.
Those are the
Okay.
options.
Are you ready for number 2?
Yeah. Okay.
Number 2 is Wolverhampton against Everton or Southampton against Burnley. Who's it going to be? Write them down.
Who are you going for?
The highest
the one.
attendance. And then finally...
Somebody's either going to be humiliated here, probably me.
Oh, yeah, we've gone the other way.
Because we've got opposite answers in both so far.
Arsenal versus Manchester City
Yeah.
or Newcastle against Spurs. Write them down. Who do you think?
I'll put the same as you on that one.
Oh, could be a tiebreaker. Right. Get your answers in if you're playing along at home. 87701. I'm sure there's families all across Manchester writing down their
Chomping
results.
at the bit.
Coming up, we're going to be speaking to a Brighton fan and a Huddersfield fan later in the show, as well as declaring who our team of the week is for week 2. We've got talking points such as the big one that we've not even touched upon yet.
What about yellow cards and goals from last week? Is that
Yes, yellow cards and goals from last week. I've done that as well. We're declaring that. Thank God Ian's on board. All of that, I know it's great, isn't it? All that coming up right after this. Listening to the Wednesday Club. This turns into a lovely podcast, a daily podcast that you can get by wherever you normally get your podcasts. Breaking news, we got into the top 50 in the Indian iTunes charts.
Yes.
I can give you a rundown of all of them for you.
Indian iTunes?
Indians iTunes charts.
Hello,
for
everybody in India.
podcasts. They love us over there. Let's try and get into the top 100 of the UK ones. Just if you listen to Wednesday
Club.
Club.
The Mongolian top
I don't know where we are now, but I can find out.
Swiss. What about the Swiss top 10?
The Swiss top 10. They love us in America as well. Hello to anyone listens in America. So we can get to the top.
We're trying to get to India. We should be doing this live from India.
That'd be great. If
This
anyone
would be
wants to sponsor
awesome.
that,
In the
87711.
international break, that'd be the time to do it, wouldn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah.
Exactly.
Get onto it.
Oh, bit of sun. Howard is on the line. We're going to stay. Howard, stay there because we got the results of our game. Very simple game. It's the attendance game on XS Manchester. I'll tell you 2 matches that happened on a weekend. You simply tell me who had the bigger attendance. Right, first one was very simple. It was Fulham versus Palace or Huddersfield versus Chelsea. Who had the biggest attendance? Alex.
I went Huddersfield.
Who did you go for?
I went
Ian?
for Fulham.
You went for Fulham, and I can tell you, Alex, you are correct.
Yes.
By only 700. The Huddersfield was 24,121. The other one was 24,000. Wait, who said what then?
I said Fulham.
Oh wait, yeah, sorry, Ian's right.
Wow.
Sorry, sorry, Alex. You got
VAR
both.
came in then, didn't it?
It
Right.
might
that
be
was
my
definitely
debut for the
VAR.
season, but some things have not changed.
Next one, it was Wolves versus Everton or Southampton versus Burnley. What did you go for, Ian?
Is this the same referee, or are we using VAR?
No, we've got VAR for this one.
I'm going Southampton.
Oh, what did you go
Wolves.
for, Alex? Wolves. Well, I can actually tell you, Alex, you are correct this
Yes.
time. No
1-0.
changing.
Did I just check the VAR on
Yeah,
this one as
definitely
well?
the correct one. And the final one, Arsenal against City or Newcastle against Spurs. What did you go for, Alex?
Arsenal.
What did you go for,
Arsenal.
Ian? Both of you are correct.
Hey.
So no winners there. Maybe Howard, who's on line one, who's a Huddersfield fan. You've never really spoke to Steve or Ian before. Actually, you know Alex quite well. Who are you going to pick between Alex and Ian? Howard?
I'll go for Alex.
Alex, you've won, yeah?
Oh,
You've
yeah,
won that
thanks,
round.
Howard.
What a way to settle it. No penalties here.
No penalties at all. You've got Howard is a Huddersfield fan on the line. Obviously,
Huddersfield, we'll give them the payback now after that. You've been nicer to me. Now
this is why we've got you on, Howard. Manchester City is Huddersfield, the big game on the weekend. First of all, not the greatest start, but it was against Chelsea. How are you feeling, Howard?
Not so bad. I think, because Chelsea got... I think we were just helping him out with the first game, really, give him a bit of a chance,
Yeah, indeed. And Manchester City, a big test for you on the weekend. Now, realistically, how are Huddersfield going to do this season?
It's going to be a big test, isn't it? I mean, if you look at the teams that have come up over the past few years, they really do struggle against the teams that have been up there for a long time. To be honest, I think most of the town fans, particularly last season, definitely this season again, like myself, are just enjoying it. It's just amazing. I've been going since 1980, the first time I went, and it's just I've seen it all really, but down in the lower leagues, and to see them up in the top level, I think it's amazing. So it's just we enjoy it. I think they're going to struggle, but I'd love to see them stay up.
For you, Alex, obviously Huddersfield caused an upset last season with a home win against Manchester United. Yeah. Do you think they can continue their the run against United, or do you think, because I feel like Huddersfield were in quite a lot of people's bottom three that might be relegated. What do you make of that, Alex?
Well, yeah, but I think also after about 5 or 6 games into the season, because it's a great home stadium they've got, it's a really good vocal support, and they played really tight, decent football. And it's called Laporta. I can't remember what it's called up front, that centre forward. Pretty much everybody had him. Laporta is like a $5.5 million fantasy football league transfer. Scores a lot. I think I thought last year they looked really solid. I don't see any reason this year why they can't be solid. They did get lucky against United, who self-destructed. Lindelof gave one away, and Mata was at fault for the other goal. But other than that,
it's always someone else's fault, isn't it, Alex? It's always someone else's fault.
That's 2 players' fault. Lindelof and Mata, it was their fault.
Howard, so do you think then we're going to put you on the spot here? Huddersfield will be in the Premier League next season?
Do you know? I think they will. Yeah, I think they will. I think David Wagner's an absolutely fantastic manager, young, and I think he constantly thinks about the game, and I think he's going to be a really, really good manager in time. To be honest, I think he already is. Yeah, I think we will.
Predictions then against Huddersfield against Manchester City.
I'd like to think we can sneak a draw. I think we did at the end of last season, didn't we? As we were struggling to stay up, and you were going for the 100 points. The City were going for 100 points, but I think we might be able to push for a draw, but maybe 2-0 to us.
2-0. Howard, thank you very much for that. 2-0 to you.
So I don't get anything to say.
Well, the predictions are at the end. Predictions are at the end for you. You don't predict anyway.
No, I'm not predicting, but hang on a minute. So unchallenged that. City played Huddersfield last season. It was a dead rubber. Never mind going for 100 points. It was the day they got presented with a Premier League trophy. So the game was just a surreal game. Huddersfield put 11 players behind the ball, and City just didn't have the will to break them down. Huddersfield, at their place, gave City actually a better game, even though the Blues came away with victory that day, but it was a very hard-earned victory. Mm-hmm. I'd have to say that Huddersfield are in my bottom 3. I admire the fan that you just got on, who's been a loyal fan, who's been going through all the dark days, and it's not been easy being a Huddersfield Town supporter, and I admire those types of players, fans, for sticking to their loyalty, and I welcome them, and they're actually quite a local team. If I go to watch a game at Huddersfield, which I don't often do, at Leeds Roads it used to be, I can probably get home as quick from there, where I live in Oldham, as I can from most of the teams in Greater Manchester.
I lived in Huddersfield for a year. And it was really good town and stuff. It was really good.
And he's right about Wagner. I agree with him on him, but I think City this time will have too much for him.
Right, this is the Excess Manchester Football Social. Speaking about the breaking news, now no one really knows how long this injury will be, but there are reports that De Bruyne has picked up a knock during a training session. People like the Independent are going for 3 months out, but they just like to possibly grab the headlines there and the retweets from probably other clubs than City. Liverpool fans going, get in. But for you, Ian, if he is out for that long, how big of a miss is De Bruyne? But looking at the bright side, if you can bring a bright side for City fans, who's going to fill the gap? Because he didn't really do. He can. You've got players that can do De Bruyne's role. Maybe not as good as him. But what are your thoughts on that?
If you're looking at Liverpool and you say Salah's out for 3 months, you think, well, that's going to make a big difference. If you look at City and you say De Bruyne is going to be out, De Bruyne is a fantastic player and it's a major blow. But they've got such a quality squad. De Bruyne didn't start at Arsenal, didn't play against Chelsea, all right, in pre-season, It doesn't really matter. It isn't about one player at City, it's about the way the team plays. So clearly, losing a player of his quality is a big blow. But I don't think it's as big a blow as it once would have been, or as big a blow as some media, as you say, might want to exaggerate. And given the fixtures and the stage of the season that we are, they're only going to be playing the group stages of the Champions League. They're going to be in the top pot, so I would imagine that with or without Bruyne, they should comfortably get through that group stage. They're playing the early rounds of the League Cup when De Bruyne wouldn't probably play anyway. And in terms of league games, until the Liverpool game, which is in October, most of the games should be winnable. Arguably the hardest of those early games, Arsenal away, has already been played. Now, I'm not taking anything for granted, I don't mean it like that, but there's no reason why this squad, even without De Bruyne, shouldn't be able to win those. So if he's going to be out for a couple of months, and that means he's back ready for the Liverpool game, which is that first big challenge, I think City can live with that.
I don't know. Is this verified? Because this story seems to happen every... he's not going to play for 2 months, and then the next match he's back.
Yeah, he was injured at Crystal Palace last year and came back 2 days later.
That horror injury, he might never walk again, and then the next thing you know, he's like, I don't believe it.
You're not buying it at all?
Nah, not buying it. Not buying it. And even if he is injured, he'll go and see the Magic Doctor, won't he? He'll be back.
The Magic Doctor?
He's already there. He's probably like running home.
What? Rubbing his hands.
Running back from Barcelona.
Let's speak about a feud that's going on at the minute that I'm enjoying, and it happens to be the feud between Ramos and Klopp. Now, I don't know if you've read into this too much. Klopp Klopp has done some interviews, which I find intriguing, calling Liverpool the underdogs in this Premier League race. He says that they're the Rocky. They've got to do some more stuff to catch up to Manchester City, even though they spent quite a lot of money. He also had a dig at Ramos, and Ramos has gone back to have a dig at him, declaring that Klopp needs to maybe focus on winning stuff rather than just
the Champions League final.
This is all around the Champions League final. Klopp fired digs at Ramos, suggesting that he intentionally went out to hurt Salah. Ramos fired back and went, maybe he should focus more on making sure his club win things instead of just getting to the finals. It's a bit of back and forth. We will enjoy it. But for you, Ian, do you think that they are the underdogs, as they call themselves, Liverpool, in this Premier League race?
Well, I don't mean this in the wrong way, because I'm certainly not arrogant on behalf of the team that I support, but statistically, the fact that City won the league by 19 points, everybody who isn't City is an underdog this season. That's just a fact. You can't get away from that. But Liverpool have spent a lot of money, even though, of course, Jurgen Klopp said, the day that we do what City do and spend a lot of money, I'll walk away. It
was actually when United signed Pogba, and he said, we don't do things like that here. We're not like...
What nonsense.
Yeah, well, and they spent the same on a goalkeeper now.
So I think they're obviously, a very strong opponent. And as we sit here now, with one game played, trying to be step back from it as much as possible, try to be as fair and neutral as I can, I would say City are the favourites and Liverpool are second favourites.
Wrong.
What?
Because United had finished second last year, and they didn't even play the last 2-3 games because of the FA Cup final. So
which went really well, didn't it?
I think that was Phil Jones, wasn't it? Useless. I think we are second favourites.
Do you honestly think that?
Yeah, why?
Mourinho won't even be at the club at Christmas. He'll be gone.
Manchester United are second favourites to the...
Well, firstly, here's something... I was going to say something positive about Liverpool. And they were the team that unlocked how to beat City. So I can understand why Ian kind of has got a bit of respect for Liverpool, or a bit of fear for them, or whatever it is, because I think their record against City was really, really good, wasn't it? They were one of the very few teams that went out and just attacked en masse City. Not many other teams did it.
Well, they beat them 4-3 at Anfield. Obviously, City won by, got 5 at the Etihad. The two you're talking about, the two Champions League games, of which I've always been adamant that the bombardment of the coach by 500 missiles onto the way to the ground had an unsettling effect in the early moments of the first leg.
But we've had that every season at Galatasaray. That's the Champions League. But out of 4 games last season, and this is when we're talking about City as this invincible machine that no one can beat, and it's the best football anyone's seen. Out of 4 games, Liverpool beat you 3 times.
Let's go to...
So it's that simple.
We got a little call here because we do our team of the week, but we've got a guy called Damien on from Cheadle Heath FC who wants to plug an event tonight, which we always take in if you want to plug an event. This is a footballing event. Damien, you're on the Wednesday Club, mate. Can you hear us? And if so, tell us about what event you want to plug tonight.
Tonight I want to plug Cheadle's Nomads. We've got an audience with Brian Orson, ex-City manager, and guest Scott Matheson, referee as well, ex-Premiership referee. It starts at 7:30. It's £5 to get in. It's Cheadle's Nomads, which is based in Norbeck Road, Cheadle, just not a million miles away from Morrison's. And £5 to get in.
Damien,
just going on about that Kevin De Bruyne injury.
I love it. Damien's called up to...
Back in my day, Magic Sponge sorted me out any day of the week.
Did it really? I love how you've called up, Damien, to plug an event, but you still want to get stuck into the talking points. For you, Damien, so it's an event. If people want to find out more information, is Twitter pages, Facebook pages they can follow?
Yeah, we're on Twitter, we're on Cheadle's Nomads. If you just type it in the search engine in the Twitter part of it, type in Cheadle's Nomads, where the event's on there, all the details are on there. Ignore the £10, it's £5 to get in.
Lovely. Damien, will Cheadle's Nomads be a team of the week in the future for us if you drop us a tweet?
Oh, I'll get that done then.
Yeah, get that done. Drop us a tweet. Cheadle's Nomads can be our team of the week. Next week, maybe. Damien, thank you very much. Just called up, wanted to plug an event, and will that be interesting?
Top man, absolute top man. I love him. I talk to him a lot, and he's charismatic, and he's just a great character. I love him to bits. I'll enjoy that.
And I can also vouch for that Morrison's in Cheadle.
Yeah, it's a good one.
I've been there a few times.
Little story that I want to go to just before the break. It is a letter that's done the rounds recently by Barnsley FC. And it's a gentleman called Chris, and he put this letter on Twitter. We spoke to Chris. He's in a bit of a place in a minute, which is a dark place. We asked him, do you want to come on and speak about the letter? He said no, but thank you very much for reading it. This is the letter Chris received the other day. It says, Dear Chris, sorry for sending you this letter at random, but I felt like I wanted to reach out and get in touch. I've noticed through social media that you've been going through a bit of a hard time recently. I'm not sure what it is about, but I hope everything is okay and improves for you as soon as possible. You've been a fan of the club for many years and always supported us, so we want to know that if you need a favour returning, we support you too. Please do let us know. You are welcome to swing by at any time. My office door is always open, and we've got a brand new coffee machine so you can come and get stuck in. Alternatively, you may have noticed the squiggle on the back of the player lettering on the shirt. It's for the Mind charity. They are partners of the EFL this season and do some really great work. I've included their contact details below. Keep supporting the Reds, Chris. We'll be supporting you. Yours sincerely, the Chief Executive Officer of Barnsley FC. Send a lovely letter to Chris, and it's gone everywhere. It's gone viral. I hope this opens the door to anyone else who's out there feeling a bit low. There's people that care, and the Mind information we're going to retweet now, so you can obviously, they're a great mental health charity. And it was just a really touching letter that a Barnsley fan received. I just wanted to read that out. Well done, well done to everyone at Barnsley for keeping an eye on the fans. And Chris, he assures me that everything is good. He's been a bit overwhelmed by how big the tweet has gone. But get back to a good place, Chris. And thank you very much for sharing your story with us. Right, coming up after the break, we're going to be doing our team of the week, which is AFC Oldham. We're also going to be speaking to a Brighton fan ahead of Manchester United against Brighton. So stay with the Wednesday Club. We'll be right back after this.
World famous chef.
This is XS Manchester. Thank you very much for listening to the Wednesday Club. It's time to do our Team of the Week, which is a very simple format. We want to shine a light on teams across the greater Manchester area that aren't obviously the big £1 million Premier League clubs. And we have got our second Team of the Week, AFC Oldham, and Ross is on the line. Ross, good evening, mate. You okay?
Good evening, guys. Great show so far.
Oh, cheers. Oh, lovely. He knows the way to our hearts, doesn't he, Ross? He does. He knows the way to our hearts. Ross, we'd love to get you on just to tell us about... Oh, yeah, sorry, I've not even put these guys
we
up.
couldn't even comment then.
Sorry.
Silence
Yeah, but normally your comments aren't that good. We'd love to get you on, Ross, to tell us about AFC Oldham. Let us know.
Can I ask you a question before you go any further? Right. Where does AFC Oldham play? Is it the one on Broadway?
That's Chaddy. That's Chadderton.
We have played on Clayton next to Lassex, Ian.
Right.
But we're a bit nomadic at the moment. We had a base in Clarksfield and Oldham, but we couldn't quite get the funding to get the clubhouse and the training facilities and everything together. So the first and second team this year are based at same side stadium at Curzon on the 3G pitch there, the new pitch.
Were you at home on Saturday? Because I was coming back from a game at the CFA at City, which was a 1 o'clock kickoff, and I thought I might even call in and watch one of the local teams here. That's why I asked the question. I think if it was Chadderton that were playing on the team on Broadway, they were certainly in action.
Yeah, that's always been Chadderton because I went to school there. You know, Ross, you're not the team that used to play. I think the home ground used to be called George Dew, D-E-W, and it was where they filmed Joss's Giants. Is that you?
No, that's not us. No, I remember the TV show very well, though.
Yeah.
Joss's Giants, I have not a clue what you are on about. I'm always Joss's Giants. AFC Oldham, tell us then about, Ross, how long you've been involved in the club, what the club does, and if anyone's listening is interested, how they could be a part of it.
Okay, well, we've been around since 2005, following a merger between two teams. We've got 3 men's team, 1 women's team, 2 under-18s team, under-15s team academies. We've got a futsal team. I'm actually sat right outside the training ground at the minute. We've got a session at 7 o'clock. So the lads are getting wet waiting for me.
Well, yeah, let's leave it at that, shall we, Ross? I've got here a big event you're going to do. Is it on the 5th of October?
Yeah, our sportsman's dinner.
Yes, tell us about that. It looks mega. Tell us about your sportsman's dinner.
Yeah, and all 3 of us are welcome to attend.
Oh, nice one. What food is it?
Sorry?
Hot pot supper, is it?
Is it hot pot supper? No, it says a 4-course meal, eh?
Oh, right, we're there then.
We're there, 4-course meal.
We're all there.
Who is at the sportsman's dinner?
Well, we've got a great comedian, but the main sportsman's the speaker is Jimmy Bullard.
Perfect, Jimmy Bullard.
Have you got an MC? Because I'm available.
Yeah, but they actually have. Sorry,
hey, we can talk about that later, Ian, if you want.
I'll pass on your number. And the great comedian Alex. I'm guessing.
I'm not doing it.
It's not you.
Me,
never mind. Ross, for people, you on social media so people can go follow you.
Yeah, we've got a Twitter account, Facebook account, and a website.
Perfect.
It's just official AFCO, which is obviously stands for AFC Oldham. We've got quite a few followers. We get a lot of inquiries through there, and we do really well. We've actually been nominated recently for the Manchester FA Awards for our social media, so it's always good getting nominated.
That's perfect, Ross. Thank you very much for the call. You are our second team of the week.
Good luck.
People go follow them. The Sportsman's Dinner. Go and buy tickets. You can go through their Twitter account, and I recommend it'd be a good night.
Jimmy Bullard would be brilliant. Yeah.
Wednesday club night out. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it.
Ross,
yeah, give us a call. You're in.
Ross, thank you very much, mate, and all the best with the training sessions. Make sure those boys aren't wet for much longer.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
See you,
Ross.
Good luck.
Ross is there. So lovely that. If you want to be a team of the week, tweet us at Access Manchester. We'll try and get you on. Do what Ross does there. We'll always help you out. Now we're going to go over to a Brighton fan, a man called Stephen. He's tweeted us. He's got blue tick.
Yeah,
we've got
Stephen
a guy on now.
Yeah, he's got a TV show and everything.
You didn't tell me he was this good. Hello, Stephen. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks very much, yes.
You've got a blue tick on Twitter, Stephen.
I just heard you say that and just clicked on your account and realised you've got about 1,000 more followers than me. So all you have to do is say something really dodgy, or I have to be particularly good in the next month or so, and I've overtaken you. That's right, isn't it?
Bring it on. We'll have a race.
Don't worry, Joe will get rid of our list, our followers quickly.
No, I won't. Stephen, you're a Brighton fan. Talk to us. You're going to go up against Manchester United, Alex's club, on the weekend. Are you confident you can? A giant killing is on its way.
No, it's the wrong time for us. We appear to have had a fairly decent transfer window, getting in some sort of realistically kind of quite high level players, some internationals, some genuine sort of flair talent. But we haven't gelled very quickly, and whereas Brighton are a lot harder to beat at home, and we actually beat Man United last season. It was a game that basically secured our safety.
Yeah, it came up 1-0, wasn't it?
That's right, yeah. I just and I think we were good for it as well. Actually, it wasn't a scrape.
No, you did deserve it.
Kind of dominated, yeah. But but it's a bit too soon in the season. I think Man United this season have hit the ground running a little better than they did last. So you're in a better position than you were. We're in a worse position than we were, and I think it'll be a struggle. Actually, our first game away at Watford, our first few games are pretty tough. Watford was the one we were thinking might get a few points. We've done well there before, and we were fairly comprehensively sort of beaten. So I think there's a few Brighton fans sort of scratching the back of the head thinking, just because we survived last season, no reason to believe it'll happen this one. Yeah, it'll be tough.
Dangers then that United need to keep an eye out. Who do you think it could cause a bit of a drama for United's backline?
Well, Brighton fans are a little bit sort of unknown about who's going to start, because even though we brought in all these big names, we actually started with the same team from last season, bar one player. But at home, Anthony Knockaert is very decent. He's fast. He ran them fairly ragged last time as well. Actually, he will create a lot and he will sort of attack down the wings. Also, Pascal Gross, sort of our German playmaker, he is his levels are pretty high. Though he went a little bit anonymous at Watford. If those two players get a lot of time on the ball, then there's a good chance Brighton could actually create something. If they're anonymous, then I think we'll be struggling to sort of stay parity with you.
It's good to have Brighton in the Premier League. You enjoy your trips down there.
I was there last weekend. It's the best place in the country.
Is it?
Absolutely amazing.
City played Brighton on the opening day of last season, and then they were really up for it. You know, the crowd were really up for it. There was mosaics in the crowd and everything. It was a new ground for me. I've been to the Goldstone ground, and when they were at that temporary athletic stadium, so it was lovely to go to a new stadium and see them and it was I think it was near to a bank holiday. The weather was gorgeous, and City really had to work hard to come all the way with 3 points from Brighton. But I've got to say that I said last week on this show that I thought Leicester would go down, and I stick with that, having watched the game on Friday night, which might seem a controversial nomination. But actually, it's bizarrely, Huddersfield and Brighton are probably two of the others that sadly I feel might be the ones that go this year.
Well, Stephen, what's your thoughts on the rest of the season then for you as a fan? What are your expectations?
I think we'll survive. I think if you look at the teams that go down year on year, virtually always what they've got in common is the fact that things aren't happy between team and management and the back room, because normally the teams that start falling apart can do something in January if they're all coherent behind the scenes. And Brighton have got it going on behind the scenes. It's a really well-run club. So I'm sort of confident, but I think we're going to find it hard. I think teams like Newcastle, even though they've got some decent players and an excellent manager, if they lose their manager, I think they might plummet.
There's certainly a lot of goodwill towards Chris Hughton. I mean, I don't hear anybody ever say a bad word against Chris Hughton. So they all want him to do well. As a Mancunian who travels to away games, though, I can't deny that Brighton and Crystal Palace are the two most awkward journeys. So on that basis,
could do getting Bolton back.
Yeah, Bolton and Wigan could do coming back. Yeah.
Imagine what it's like for us. Every single journey for us is a nightmare. You know, we've got Southern Rail if you want to get the train to anywhere, and then virtually all the teams are the other end of the country. On top of that, you know, you're talking earlier on about your second team, Oldham, right? That's a bus ride for you. Right,
that's a walk, actually, for me.
It's a walk. Well, there you go. You know, I mean, you know, the closest teams to us, I mean, Palace obviously is our great rivalry, but, you know, I mean, it used to be Portsmouth, and they've dropped down the division, and Southampton is still an hour and 45 minutes drive. You know, the reason why Brighton is so well supported is the catchment area down here is absolutely huge. There is
got nowhere else to go. Stephen, thank you very much for coming on, mate, and all the best there, Stephen Brighton fan. Thank you very much. Go follow him, Stephen Grant. Stephen
Good
C.
luck at
Grant.
the weekend.
Yeah, Stephen C. Grant on Twitter.
Wish him good luck at the weekend, haven't I?
Well, yeah, of course
Who's
you
playing
did.
again?
United. Stephen C. Grant on Twitter.
United.
However, don't let me get more followers than us. This is the Wednesday Club coming to our sort of final moments here.
No.
I need your goals and cards predictions for this.
What about
week.
last week? What about last week?
The results are somewhere out there, and I don't know. This week, we'll do a double whammy next week. Alex, goals.
What did I say last week?
I don't know, something ridiculous. I can tell you because you got it on text, but tell me in about 30 seconds how many goals are going to be scored this week and how many cards are going to be scored in this weekend's Premier League games.
55, 65.
Oh, and then Ian.
So goals, 35 and 30.
35 and 30. Right, I will tell you the results of everything when I get back next Wednesday on the Wednesday Club. But Alex, it's been a pleasure to have you back.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Don't forget to check that toast right on eBay, everybody.
Let's get it up. And then Ian, don't forget to go on manchestercity.com, or is it .co.uk?
mancity.com.
Oh, mancity.com, and enjoy your trips to Huddersfield and Brighton. Oh, it's home for Manchester
I'm not
City
going to
as well. No worries. Thank you very much. My name's Joe McGrath. The podcast will be up, so go and download it. And up next is Jim Salverson